Hey, my name is Agmon. I'm going to talk to you about what I think is the biggest problem of B2C communication, which is conversation optimization. How can a brand engage with a mass of people while keeping the conversation personal? Now, this is a 15-minute talk, which I will try to give in 5 minutes. 1.2 billion mobile web users worldwide. This is an amazing number and it's going exponentially. They are using the mobile and the web to engage on social networks, which are also growing at an exponential rate. A billion pieces of content that are being shared today are growing in an exponential rate, and in a year from now, a billion status updates are going to be sent every hour, every minute, or every second. What percentage of those conversations are about your brand, and how are you going to engage with everyone? Now, useful social media shows that 56% of companies will deliver customer service on social media. Obviously, how are they going to engage with everyone? 44% are not going to do it. What they don't realize is that they don't have a choice. People are less likely to call the call center and most probably send a tweet or post something on the fans page. A McKinsey report shows that we are using more social media and less emailing, voice, messaging, and so on. So brands are going to be contacted and approached more via social networks in the coming years. But this is a good thing, because McKinsey in the same report shows that there's an additional $220 billion in marketing alone that social media can release. That's a lot of money. Even though there's a steep increase in budget for community managers, they still complain that they lack the resources, which are trained teams and sufficient tools to engage with everyone. And they lack the proper means to properly measure the effect of their goals. Now, what are the goals? What are the objectives? It's better customer engagement, better customer experience. The way we see it, it's basically a problem of optimizing the conversation. So what does it mean? It means that there are more people talking to you or about you than you can ever respond to. Okay, so why is it? Well, social like social, it's all about making personal conversations. So if you're talking with 1,000 people, and let's assume you have a team of 30 people, how much time it would take them to engage with all 1,000 people? Let's do the math. Assuming it takes 5 minutes per talk, 1,000 people, 30 community managers, it's 3 hours. It's even more fundamental than this, because this is a linear equation. But status per updates, as we mentioned, are going in an exponential rate. Now, this is an important and critical point to stress out, as this is the cardinal challenge brands face on social media. Increasing the community managers would increase the number of interactions in a linear fashion. But as mentioned, interactions are growing in an exponential rate. There's a point where you are being mentioned or you are monitoring more messages than you can ever respond to, regardless to your team size. Even if your team gets better in responding and uses tools that will allow them to engage faster, it means that the slope of the linear line would increase. But over time, the number of interactions would exceed the brand's ability to respond to everyone in a personal way. This is an inherent fact. It's regardless to the team size. The brand would receive more tweets than it can ever respond to. This is especially significant when certain events like viral, positive or negative memes spread about the brand. And as you know, they have a spiky behavior. So what can we do? To face this challenge. And while facing this challenge, we want to keep in mind that the top objectives are customer satisfaction, effectiveness, and efficiency. Well, the first step is using a conversational decision tree, which means a script dialogue. In other words, after responding to a status update, a user can reply back in different ways, and you should have a prepared response for each possibility, and so on. A prepared response for all possible conversation possibilities. While building this decision tree, you should optimize it to increase customer satisfaction, engagement, and sales. The way to do this is to extract knowledge from previous conversations, and this way you can speed up new conversations. Now let me demonstrate this. First, let's segment all the messages into groups of similar or even exactly the same message. For instance, all the people that mention I love Coca-Cola. They can be further segmented to even smaller groups. Or sharing items from influential individuals. This is the spike I mentioned before. A large amount of retweets and shares of the same content. A tweet about Pfizer was retweeted so many times it even harmed their stock price. Or tweets that are semi-automated messages that say the exactly same thing over and over again. And I'm sure many of your customers are generating automated messages every day via sharing buttons embedded in your product, or using checking services or clicking the share buttons on articles. Now, or people that have a need that you can easily fulfill, either have the same message or the same meaning. With more than 1 billion messages a day and soon per minute, most of the conversations repeat themselves. Now, after segmenting them into groups, boilerplate responses are generated and are A/B tested. The following examples are actual responses that Coca-Cola had sent out, but as far as I know, they are not really optimizing and A/B testing them. Each response was probably sent to different people hundreds or thousands of times. Now imagine each response would have been measured for engagement actions, such as the number of clicks, retweets, mentions, and so on. Doing this would easily let us know which response is generating more engagement. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about automation, not at all. A community manager still needs to see all the faces, sits in front of a dashboard, sees all the messages, but now they will have a statistical suited suggested response that you can control, and you will have some control over the content that is being shared by your brand. However, this is only one layer. How can we make this a tree? It's simple, by repeating this process. Group similar status updates, A/B test different boilerplate responses, sending them out and receiving replies to your messages. Now the more you talk, the more responses you would receive, which again you would segment into groups, prepare boilerplate responses, A/B test them, send them out, and so on and so on. And this way you will build an amazing asset for your brand. A smart, dynamic decision tree that makes sure you are sending the right response. And the nice thing about it, it grows with your brand. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes in helping your community manager. Now using this concept, you can talk to 100 times more people. For example, the state of Israel, using this method, had only 2 community managers and were able to talk with 10,000 people in about a week. So use and build an optimal conversation decision tree. It will help you manage your brand reputation, improve your customer support. You will receive quality feedback as you are talking with more people. You will leverage your marketing and you will generate sales. Log to one2mass.com and try it now. I'm Agmon and I'll be happy to hear your thoughts.